Yeah. So let's start. I'm not wasting any time here. So what we are doing today, we are understanding Terraform basics, why Terraform, what Terraform is, how this come up. So this we are going to understand. So now if I go to the Terraform here, you can see here, this is created by Terraform is created by HashiCorp. Terraform is created by HashiCorp. What Terraform is? Terraform is a IAC. IAC means infrastructure as a code. What is the meaning of IAC, infrastructure as a code? Means we are going to write the what we are going to write we are going to write the code to create the infrastructure. What, where? If I go to the registry here, where? Into the providers. What I meant by provider here, you can see provider are the plugins. What provider are the plugins to create resources in platform. Which platform? AWS is one of the platform, Azure is one of the platform. So these many platform, 4481 platform we have. So how many official partner and community provider we have? So where we are going to create, so this code is written in SCL, HashiCorp language. We are going to use the SCL here. If I'll go to the Azure or AWS, I can see the documentation part of this. So can be created here like this. So this is what. So if I go to this is my one platform here, AWS. This is can be called as a provider. So what? I'll go to the use provider. If you want to use the provider here, this is your provider version. This provider version will vary from one provider to others. It will not be same. It will vary from provider to provider version. There is two things here. One is Terraform version, what Terraform version you are using, and second one is what provider version you are using. So it will vary from provider to provider. If I change from this to, I'll change to other providers here. I'll go to the Azure here. If I'll go to the Azure here, it will show me different provider version for Azure. This is provider version here. So provider version is different for the provider. Then coming to a documentation part here, we need what Terraform is. Terraform is a IAC, infrastructure as a code. We are going to create the infrastructure where? Into our provider, into some platform here. So Azure is one of them. So we can create the resources into Azure. So what do you want to create? I want to create a virtual machine in EC2. In AWS, this is called EC2. Here, I want to create the what? You need to write full name here. So I want to create a virtual machine here. If I want to create a virtual machine, here, so of course, so we can see the resources here, compute services. This is how you create a virtual machine here, Azure RM virtual machine. Or this is what we create. This is what SCL is. So one more thing here, I have seen people questioning me this thing here. So do we need to learn SCL? Of course, if you can learn SCL means it will be good, but it's very specific. Only used in where? Only in Terraform things. So what is the second alternate? There is pre-existing schema of SCL here for each resources. For each resources in any provider. Different provider, what this SCL did, HashiCorp, what this HashiCorp did, they created documentation, proper documentation you'll find for Terraform. You just need to know how to use this documentation here. Then what is the process of learning? How you can learn these things here? First, you need to understand about the provider, what sorts of provider you want to get in. Suppose you're looking for AWS, Azure, or GCP, or any other provider. You're looking for Kubernetes. Kubernetes is also one of the provider here. So what do you need to do to start with? What do people need to do? Just get into this. I suppose you want to get into AWS. First one is you should know how to interact with the provider. I have a different recorded video for this one. You can go through that. So how to connect to this AWS provider? I'll connect through this AWS provider, means how to connect through AWS provider, then start creating documentation here first. And second thing, now see, if you're creating documentation here, you should have a knowledge about AWS. Whatever the resources you are creating, I'm taking example of S3, simple storage services you want to create, or you want to create a EC2, you want to create RDS, you want to create others, any other services you want to create. So that service knowledge you should have. If you don't have that service knowledge, so of course you will be confused here, what resources you need to create the resource, what resources you need. Something like this, I'm taking example of, I want to create S3 here, simple storage bucket here, S3. Now whenever you are typing something here, S3, say, now see, you need to understand here, as I said, you need to have idea about the simple storage, then documentation will come up. If I'll go here, some other documentation will pop up. If I go to the data synchronization here, it will give me different data thing here. If I'll go to the AWS bucket here, I will see one documentation like this. As I said, if you want to see how to connect to the provider, how to talk to the resources, how to create the resources, you can go my other videos here. I have uploaded the video here. So this we can understand from here. So this can understand from here. Another thing here, if I go with this one here, if I'll go with the private bucket with the tag here, so you can understand here. This is what we can understand from here. So if I'll go here means, so now some of the parameter, whenever we are defining some resources in our Terraform SCL here, some of the resources will be, some of the resources are optional here. Now see, some of the resources are optional here and some of the resources are mandatory here. This is argument section. If you want to see, if you doesn't know about these resources, what this thing is, what these resources are, what this example are, my bucket are. So according to this, you can see the things here. So you can see these things here, what these things are, exact ACL here, grant here. These are optional thing actually, whether you mention or whether you will not mention. So it will create actually. So what it will do, this basic documentation will create. So this we need to understand. So provider, so if you want to learn Terraform here, you need to have a knowledge about provider. Then you need to go to the resources here. That's it for this.